Hi everyone. Okay. So I hope everyone that's watching this live right now have their coffee with you or any kind of drink, because I found this saying in a coffee shop. It says like coffee in one hand and confidence in the other. So I think it makes sense because we're gonna discuss very interesting topic really. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and safe. Welcome to our first ever Bunga campaign coffee talk session, featuring our passionate, hardworking, and very beautiful speaker, Miss Meera Maniar. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Yes, you did. Happy. Thank you for that awesome introduction.
Welcome to the coffee talk, Meera.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Right. So me and Isha are the moderators for tonight. And I believe that we should actually brief a bit about why we chose the topic voices are calling for change, right? Okay. This is because we personally think that growing up, I have like these questions running through my mind, like whether or not I should speak up for myself. And because of we are afraid that people might our opinions might be rejected or like being judged, and but by doing the opposite, actually it helps us by gaining our self-confidence and actually make our opinions being heard, and sometimes thinking the silence is mistaken for compliance. So that is why we believe that the Meera.
Yeah, definitely. I think speaking up, although I have to say sometimes not participating is a form of participation as well, but I completely agree with you that not voicing out could be perceived as a sign of complacency or something else as well. Again, there could be a plethora of reasons why someone doesn't want to voice out something, right? But yes, the possibility, I think, of women not wanting to voice things out in a discussion sometimes could be because of the gender balance. We still do it. Sorry, what was that? So we're still society, and I think it's not just in terms of being gender equal, right? I think we're working on a lot of things right now in the 21st century, right? We're working on being more aware of people of different colors, races, shapes, sizes. We want to be inclusive because we are essentially, and at the end of the day, all humans, right? And
True.
that make us stronger. But I agree that there are times that, and I completely feel you, where I also have been situations in the past where I'm like, oh man, I really want to say something, but I don't know if I should, because there's this sense of fear, right? Like, oh, exactly. What if, right? Like, what if what I say isn't of value? What if what I say is
it's not being taken for action,
Yeah, exactly. But I think here the question, we should be asking ourselves, right? That why is it that I am not actively participating and voicing this out?
True. Exactly. Like when I was like, do you feel that voicing out our opinion like barrier, that like do you taking care of other people's feeling,
Right. Yeah, but I think so at the end of the day, I think that comes down again to a sense of fear, right? Yes, you are worried about what other people may think. But if you look at the bigger umbrella, all of it comes under fear. Doubt, lack of self-confidence, what other people think. It all comes down to the umbrella of fear. An interesting fact, as babies, we are only born, I'm not sure if many people know this, but as babies, we are only born with 2 fears. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the 2 fears that we are born with is the fear of falling and the fear of loud sounds. That's it.
Okay.
That's the fear we're born with.
Okay.
Everything else is actually learned, right? It's probably because of our culture or our environment. And most research tells us that are you doing justice?
Yeah,
right?
true.
Are you doing justice to yourself? Are you doing justice to other people?
Because we keep it to yourself.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that input could be something of great value, right? It could be an input that's taken to the CEO and be like, oh, Putri gave a really good idea today morning, and we're going to put that into action starting tomorrow. Right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Because you voiced it out.
Because we never know, like, might be our idea and might be our opinion is like much better, or like maybe we're on the same level, we never know. So just voice out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like how do you, so you're turning 31 this year, right? Okay, so like when you're young, how do you like notice that, okay, this is the time for me to voice out, like this is the time where I'm the leader for all other women out there?
Yeah, so, like what made you choose to
like
be an advocate for women?
Right. So 2 questions, right? So I'll answer the why did I choose to advocate for women in Lean In. So growing up, I grew up in a very supportive family, very supportive environment, where gender really wasn't an issue per se. But I did face gender discrimination in school. So I was a very active student, and I was running for the president of a few clubs and societies in school. And in one of the clubs, I got the highest vote, but to become the president. But the teacher in charge said that, oh, Meera's a girl, so by default, the president is going to be this guy, right? Because he's a guy. And to me, back then, as I was probably 14 then, as a 14-year-old, I did not realize that that was gender discrimination. I thought, oh, because I'm a girl.
And he's a man.
I mean, you're telling a 14-year-old, right? This, and do you see how, so over the years, I actually thought, I grew up thinking that, yes, although my parents told me that, you can do whatever you want, you should go do great things, but because the school environment was such, so there was always this conflict in me that, oh, I'm a woman, I can't lead and all that. And it wasn't until I joined university and, went out and explored myself and all that, that I realized that, oh my God, that was gender discrimination.
True.
So when the awareness hit, I was like, wow, if, me, one person experienced this and I didn't even know that was gender discrimination, I didn't know how to handle the situation, and I imagine others out there, and for me, it was this innate thing that I wanted to help others, be able to bring awareness, enable and empower others who could be in a similar situation that I was, right? So that's why I joined, a cause such as Lean In. I mean, there were other instances as well of me facing gender discrimination, but that was the starting point of it all. So yes. Sorry, what was the other question?
Isha, what was your question? I think it
Oh, yeah,
answered.
it's just the same question, but to add on to your history of gender bias, I mean, I was actually quite fortunate because not for me, but for the girls during my childhood, because ever since I was in primary school, my teachers were really looking at the talent itself and not based on gender role. So I always see like the head girl instead of a head boy. So they would be like the leaders of the prefect boys instead of the boy, just because the girl can actually lead. So I don't want to be sound like a pick me guy, but
Yeah.
when I was young, I didn't see a thing about gender bias. I only see it as giving credit to giving credit when it's due in simple terms. So if you can do it, then you just do it. If you earn that spot, then that is your spot. So until okay, and I went to all boys school in high school, so there was no gender bias there. But when I was in university, there was back like who would be the class rep, who would be this. They will usually be the guys when actually the girls are actually more, I would say, proactive, more functioning in the class. So I think we should actually start to raise awareness about how we should give credit to someone that earned that spot instead of just a general. Because I met some people in life that they just got a position because they are guys, but they would just be like, man, like, okay, I got my assistant to handle it. So, but luckily it was at their young age, so it's not a big of issue, but it's gonna affect the way our culture gonna shape our community.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think as for me, I think I'm the same like Ishra. I don't have like the environment of like discrimination towards women and girls when I was young. But I think right now there are awareness out there. Like it achieved like there are many societies and like raise awareness about women, how women is very has their opinion as well. But there are certain people that doesn't take it seriously. Like they don't think like it's not important for me to know about it. Like,
so how would you handle a situation like that?
I think I should like raise awareness by like spreading all this kind of thing, like involved in NALS, involved in other NGOs as well, and promote it to my friend that this awareness is important, like our voice is important, and it's not about or because it's a guy or a man we should respect them. Like no, it's not. It's about our opinion matters as well.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And do you feel like there's a switch? Are they receptive towards it?
I think so, yeah. Because when we keep explaining about it, and then sometimes they like, oh, okay, now I see it.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? Because a lot of people do it unconsciously. And then when you tell them about it, they're like, oh, okay, thank you for telling me. You know, I
didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know I was doing that. And I think it doesn't just happen to men. Even women can be biased as well. Right, women can be biased towards women as well. And it's subconsciously. We're not doing it consciously. We're doing it consciously. A good example would be that I remember vetting, a friend of mine was vetting resumes, right? And through the resumes, I think she was subconsciously not selecting women who were married, just because she was like, oh, you know, if you're married, you're gonna have kids and all that. And it wasn't until her subordinate pointed it out that, oh, why aren't you picking this resume, right? She's got great great experiences and all that. And, you know, So her subordinate pointed all this out, and she's like, "Oh, okay. I think I was being subconsciously biased,
Bias.
right?" But when she realized it, she's like, "Oh my god!
Oh my
How could I do that to a guy?" So yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Raising awareness.
I think it is all about how someone has to be very conscious about doing their thing, because as a guy, to me and to all the guys out there that are watching this, I think you guys should really, let's say, like when Putri has come up with an idea, you should give credit to her. You should, if people like doesn't hear her enough, maybe you should step in, because we are living in a gender biased world sometimes. So it's true, guys can have the bigger voice. So maybe you should point it out, saying that, hey guys, Putri have this idea. Let's hear it out again and let her explain it to everyone, because there are always I've been in a couple of meetings, and whenever a girl is saying something, and then because in a meetings sometimes things can get tense, right?
Yeah.
And everyone will be talking. So sometimes the girl see something, but it will be drowned by the other conversations, by the other discussions. So sometimes I'm the only one that hears it, because I get lost in the discussion. So I'm only focusing on one person. So sometimes maybe if this situation happens, maybe we should, and especially if the idea is a great idea, we should really help point out to the to the supervisor or to the boss, because sometimes people tend to, if their ideas are being brushed off just like that, people don't want to repeat it. So that's I think everyone should play a role in this as well, so that everyone can be more involved.
For sure. I think not just men, right? I mean, men and women as well. And usually I find that it's easier to stand up for someone else as opposed to voice your own opinion. It's kind of like a training ground to get to, okay, I want to learn how to voice out my opinion, but I can first stand up for others as well. And then it naturally goes to, okay, now I can stand up for others, I can stand up for myself. So I think that's a great point that you mentioned, where we should be aware, like when you do see something that's biased, state it out loud, right? Like, oh, hey, Putri had a great idea. We should hear that. Let's focus on that. Things like that, right?
Do you guys have seen this viral video on Instagram? Like this morning, I saw this video. It says like not only women raise awareness about women, like men also has to be involved in raising awareness about women, because like for example, there we have like 9 men, and then if one man like advise, then the 8 men, the other men, and then they will like raise awareness about it as well. Not only because if we don't have what is it called? If we don't have like a man like raising awareness about women, it doesn't reach. The awareness wouldn't be reached. It says like that.
Good point. Yeah, that's definitely a good point, that we should all be rallying this together. It shouldn't just be a women's cause, right? Men and women pushing towards this agenda together. And that's essentially what we do at Leading as well, right? We always try to include men in the conversation as well, on how to push this forward, right? How do we empower more women? How do we enable more women? How do we educate society? Yes.
Like example, like Ishra is actually the one who like pointed out this idea of doing the online campaign for women, and I'm really amazed about it.
Oh, nice. You are a true advocate.
No, I just sometimes I'm kind of really getting tired of my friends doesn't want to participate in discussions, like my female friends, just because I don't know whether it's because of our culture that have made them think that how because we are letting men to lead, so sometimes I don't know. It's just maybe it's one of the factors that makes them think that they don't have to actively participate in the discussion because they can just leave it to the men while they are actually in the same position as us in the same room, but they just don't want to actively participate. So it's either whether it's their own personality that has been shaped around this culture, or is it just because they really just getting tired of getting ignored? So what do you think about that?
I think it could be both, right? Because some people generally are more reserved. Some people are generally more vocal, right? So different personalities, different traits. But obviously, I'm not going to deny that sometimes, we do fear speaking up, especially if you're trained. Now, this is not just for women, right? Men as well. Like what you said earlier, Isra, that if you're not hurt the first time, you would be reluctant to voice it out again. If you were not entirely confident, right? So that is an issue as well, not denying it. And I think here it's very important for us to remember that each of us are, we should not let what others think affect us. We should always be working towards removing that fear that, what I say isn't of value, like what I say, that I'm not worthy enough. So it's really about questioning yourself. Why am I not voicing this out? Am I not voicing this out because I'm afraid? Am I not voicing this out because I feel it's of no value? And if it's a yes to those questions, then it's really about asking yourself, what can I do to shift that, right? To remove that sense of fear. So for me, what I used to do, because, sometimes you do have doubts, you do have fears as a human being, obviously I do. But I used to do this thing where every time I pass through a mirror, I look at myself in the mirror, or I pass through and I see my reflection, I would say certain affirmations to myself. Right? So I would say, let me see if I can remember. I don't do it now that much, but I used to do a lot back then. One was, I am completely independent of the bad opinions of others, right? And then the other one was, and that was sort of to set a neutral ground for myself, that, essentially what matters is what I think and not so much what others think. The other one is, I used to say, I'm beneath no one, right? And it's sort of like a booster to myself that, I'm equal to everybody else.
Yeah.
And the last affirmation was something about fearless. I'm fearless in the face of any challenges, and that sort of reminder that, girl, you got this, right? You got this. Do this. And it became a habit. So every time I would pass the mirror or catch my reflection, I would mentally remind myself of this. And over time, it just became part of me, right? What I'm saying is, you don't have to say these statements, but if you are finding yourself questioning your self-confidence or your ability to speak up, then the best way is to always ask yourself, how do you want to shift it? And just remind yourself how to shift that, right? And so it doesn't have to be affirmations. Maybe you want to put a quote on your phone, right? Really
the wallpaper
phone or your laptop. But what I'm saying is, it's very important for us to constantly remind ourselves of our abilities, right? Because we easily forget. If you realize,
people are taking lightly about the power of mantra, I think.
True.
Obviously, it works for you now. Like everyone, this is first-hand proof.
People think it's like
people think it's ridiculous, but if, like you said, when you say it repeatedly, it becomes a habit, and it gives you the self-assurance that you need.
Yeah. And it's not just a mantra. It doesn't have to be this mantra or affirmation that I did. Right? Maybe you want to tell your friend to remind you, that sort of thing. So when you start to realize that, I have this fear of speaking up, Okay, so maybe, you know, Patri, you can reach out to Isra and be like, okay, can you always remind me how awesome I am? Because we forget easily, right? The minute something bad happens, or, you know, someone shoots you down, or maybe, you know, someone said something, it's very easy for us to divert and be like, oh man, you know, I don't think I can do this.
I'm not good enough. Like,
so,
Yeah,
you're good enough, Ishra.
yeah. Thank you. You're good. Speaking of this part, what kind of self-limiting belief do you think that women have in our society that actually limits them to become a more stronger character?
sorry, was that what self-limiting beliefs?
Yeah, because I say that we know that if there are certain things that we can give ourselves assurance that so that we can boost our confidence and motivation, but if what about the ones that doesn't have that confidence? What are actually limiting themselves from having that kind of confidence?
Right. I think here it could be two things, right? One is that they are not aware of what's happening. And once they're aware, again, then there's two situations. One is that it is something they can control. Like, okay, so if I have a fear of speaking up, I can control that. But if it's your external environment is really harsh, right? That you are, let's say you're working let's say you're working in a job where you are constantly faced with gender discrimination and people are prejudiced and all that. So that is a bit out of your hands, right? Because as much as you want to tell yourself, oh, I can do this, it is a very hard situation. So I think that's where you should speak to someone about it, you know, speak to HR, go to an organization, or, you know, just find a source that can get you help to get to where you want to be, right?
Yeah, true. Because I think like gaining self-confidence and like the bravery to speak up, it's not a one-day job.
No, definitely not.
That is why I think like those affirmations or like other people reminding us that we're good enough, we're like confident enough. I think those are like the contribute to our like self development to be better.
Yes, and I think that helps with your limiting beliefs as well. Whatever limiting beliefs you have, question it. Is this valid? Is this limiting belief real? Or is this just me telling myself that, oh, I can't do this because of so-and-so reasons, right? So really try and reflect on the why. Yeah.
So you've been working for a long time now. So in your experience, does a woman's opinions have a higher tendency to be ignored compared to men, or is it actually just something that we think it is, but actually not?
Right. So based on research, usually it depends on the content. So generally, men and women's opinions are regarded equally, but the minute research says that the minute women are more assertive, or they speak up promotively, right? So broaching positive ideas and solutions, that's when their voices are unheard more than men, right? Sorry. So I'll go to my experience in a while, just stating some research facts. But so generally, yes, but now by contrast, men who behave in an assertive manner or speak up promotively, they are generally rewarded with leadership qualities or influence qualities, complete opposite to women, right? So there is a bias that exists here, consciously or unconsciously, and then I think the reason for it really comes down to society, this cultural thing, right? Because let's face it, we humans, we started off as a very patriarchal society, but what's important to remember is that we're now shifting the balance. right? We're shifting the balance to become a more equal society. Through efforts such as this, like what you're doing with NALS and what we're doing at Lean In and all that. And I think that's what's important to remember. And I think also, how do we move forward from here, right? But what do you think? Have you guys experienced this?
Putri?
It's like I think like being at home, I think like make me realize that there are problems in women rather than me going to physical classes because we're like so busy in studying and stuff. But right now, everything seems like, okay, there are problems here. We need to like voice out. We need to like raise awareness about it. And I think, yeah, I think it's more being seen right now about this kind of women issues and all of it.
Right. Any examples though that you experienced?
Like I said just now, I think like I was the people that like I was like one of the groups that doesn't realize and subconsciously. Okay, then when I like enter this kind of like organization and then I make some research, it's like it blows my mind. Like, okay, I need to like study more about this and like me myself like really do it sometimes to be honest. So I don't really have the experience yet.
But I think we're all learning. It's an everyday process of learning, right? We're constantly learning every day. So, but I think what's important is that we are taking steps to learn, right? Where you're taking steps to learn and shift that.
Like instead of having the fear, like what do you think that neglects women to voice out besides fear? Besides that, okay.
Besides fear, let me see. I'm just taking this from my own experience.
Maybe I was expecting some experience story.
Because you have so many experience.
Oh, okay. In terms of what? What experience?
Do you have any experience of these kind of situations? Like probably you encountered yourself or your colleagues?
Not being able to voice out something.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think my first year in my job, I was very reluctant to voice things out because I was just very reluctant. I felt that maybe my opinion wasn't that important. Maybe what I said isn't going to be of value, right? And I think what helped here was also that I wasn't able to properly organize my mental thoughts. So I think that also could be one of the reasons, right? That maybe we overthink sometimes.
True.
Overthink, you're like, oh my God, okay, so what do I say? What do I say? You don't end up saying anything at all. I don't know, can you guys relate to this?
Yes, because like especially like talking in front of people, it's like my most like weakness, but I trying to learn and how.
Oh, you're doing great. You're talking now.
Like how do you like find yourself like, okay, I found my confidence now. Like I don't care about people anymore.
Oh, like I don't think there was one point per se where I say that, oh my God, I found it, right? I think like what you said earlier, Putri, that it's a process. Like every day you make improvements and you kind of look back, you're like, oh, okay, I don't feel that anymore. I don't, I'm not afraid anymore. I can speak up. But definitely, I think overthinking can be part of the reason as well, where we don't voice something out. We overthink, then it leads to doubt. Yeah.
So what was the point that made you change? Like I got to evolve Right now, I got to power up.
But no, like I said, no definite one point. I think it was over many different points. But I think one of the key points, definitely, key events was just me being able to reflect on myself better, really understand myself, right? Why do I feel what I feel? Why am I questioning myself? Like just finding the answers to those things. So I feel like, you know, we are, you know, you guys as students, as graduates, and, you know, working people, we're constantly on move. We're always going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And, you know, that was me as well. I was always going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And I never sort of stopped to ask myself or, you know, talk to yourself. Oh my God, do I sound crazy now? No, but, you know, sort of do it in a reflection of yourself. Like, what is it do you want? Where do you want to get to? What is it you want? Where do you want to get to? You know, then you kind of see the difference and then you try and fill the gaps. So then what I did was I broke down where I wanted to get to in terms of my career, my personal relationships, family, friends, health. You know, I broke it down to different aspects. And I kind of wait, okay, this is where I am. This is where I want to get to, right? And then once I figured that out, it was about how do I get there, right? And that was a major shifting point for me because then I realized, okay, I have a lot of work to do on myself if I want to get to my place, like the ideal place to go to, right? So
the process of like you, this is your to do your goal. Like the process is like, do you like celebrate your small achievement, like small progress of it?
Oh, for sure. I celebrate every small ridiculous like
okay, we're in the same page because I think we're on the same page because I think like people keep on like glamorizing like overworking and grinding nonstop, not like doing at their own pace, you know, like because they keep on like comparing themselves to this in social media. Like they see, okay, people are like graduating, like if they fail one subject, they'll be like, I'm a failure, I'm not going to do it, like everyone is graduating, like that. So I think that everyone needs to like slow down and write down all their goals and like slowly achieving it with our own pace, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I think this comparison thing has to stop. Glamorizing overworking has to stop as well. That's a very good point. You know, it's yeah, you got to make time for yourself. And there's a good point about social media as well, because if you think about it, the beauty in this social media and the beauty industry kind of convinces us that we are not good enough. Think about it, they're constantly telling us, oh my God, your eyelashes, your nails, your hair must be manipulated or changed in some way, right?
Yeah.
and so then we start to not trust the bodies that we have. You know, I don't know if this applies to guys, is right? So you have to tell me. Does this apply to
women? Like we girls like tend to like compare our like, okay, my beauty is not the same like this model. Like, you know, you get what I mean? Like that's the point.
Yeah, and I think not just social media, even certain marketing campaigns targeted towards that, right? It makes you feel that, oh, what I have is not good enough. I need to change my hair, my nails, I don't know, my clothes, right? And then you don't trust your body. You're not comfortable in your body. Then when you're not comfortable in your body, you kind of lose that. You know, you kind of lose that part of that X factor that you wanna portray out to the world, right?
I think it all depends on what you want for yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. You have to be very sure, okay, this is what I want, and nothing anyone says or does is going to affect that.
Like, is it like what is it, Ishra? Sorry.
Oh, it's okay, you proceed.
Like, I think, do you like, is it normal like in your 20s, like you don't know, like, okay, what I want to do with my life. What should I get a job right now? Should I like? It's like so confusing for me lah. Do you like experience it when you're in your 20s like that? Like, or you already know that, okay, I'm gonna be like in this position right now.
I didn't experience that per se, but definitely there was always the question of, am I doing the right thing? Right? Because there are 1,000 possibilities. You can get many different jobs. You can be in many different fields. And so there was always, for me, it was always a question of, am I doing the right thing? Should I have done something? Should I have joined another company? That sort of thing. Yeah, but you know, the thing is, we're all figuring it out. Nobody truly knows the answer to everything, right? You just have to weigh your pros and cons, right? Pros and cons, and then think about it properly. You know, break it down, gather all your information, ask people, you know, opinions, friends, family, mentors. Asking mentors is a great way as well. You can reach out to people in similar industries, get their, you know, answers and experiences, and that kind of helps you make decisions as well. You know, put all this information together and make a decision.
So we have...
Speaking about career and goals, what do you think about the stigma around lady boss?
Stigma around lady boss?
Yeah.
First of all, the word lady boss, you know, boss is boss.
Yeah, we know the stigma around like how they're going to be fierce, but in a bad way, like how they're going to be a bit arrogant, something like that.
Like Devil Wears Prada, the movie.
Yeah.
Basically, the minute, I think this is where we get back to the minute a woman is more assertive, it's frowned upon. But the minute, but when men are that way, it's not entirely frowned upon, right? So this is where I think we need to shift that balance.
True.
But there, I cannot mention any names, but there are certain female leaders that can be quite a nuisance sometimes.
Okay.
But this is just my opinion. It's not based on something true. But I think that you can trace back this thing back to our to history, because we live, like you said, we live in a patriarchal system where men will dominate every leadership role. So in order and during back then, men doesn't listen to women. So in the only way that a woman can be listened to is by being very how do I say this? Like very very assertive, but in a bad way, because you know how people how men sometimes bond by using sarcasm, you know, by being by calling out names, something like that. So they have to be cruel in order to get to the top, something like that. Do you think that is something that relatable to the stigma of lady boss? Like, it's actually the product of our patriarchal system itself.
I personally think it's not. I've never experienced that. I do feel that, yes, sometimes women have to be more assertive, but that's not necessarily. I think it's also a two-way thing, right? Where we frown upon women acting a certain way. The thing is that we never perceive this way about a guy, but the minute women have this very strong qualities, it is sort of looked down upon, right? So again, it's about shifting that balance. to be able to have women also have the strong qualities, right? And it's completely, I think also it applies both ways, right? So it's completely okay for men to be vulnerable, men to be empathetic, men to be sensitive, and completely okay for women to have the stronger qualities, like being assertive, right? Yeah.
Like we need to accept the fact that men have like the same personality and feelings like women also, and women need to accept the fact that
Yeah, I think it's definitely a two-way street for sure.
we have like a one question here. It says, in your opinion, what would you think the world would be in 5 years' time in terms of women's rights?
What do I think the world would be? Well, I definitely hope that NALS will be doing more talks such as this, for awareness on gender equality and women's rights. I also really hope that in terms of progress in schools, I would really like to see this where in schools there is each school has its own a little organization or club or society that advocates gender equality. Right?
Oh, that's interesting.
And we don't have one back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know how we have the English club and then we have music club and all that. But I would really love to see 5 years time where every school has a little club that promotes gender equality, where students themselves will be teaching other students how to raise awareness, how to educate each other. And I think it's a process where not just students learn, but also the teachers get to learn, right? So it's a fun, interactive environment, and one that would definitely enable them to carry these values with them as they grow up into college, university, working life.
Maybe LinkedIn and NALS can go have a future collaboration for this, because we are targeting youth and you guys are promoting these kind of topics.
Yeah.
So maybe we can start that.
For sure.
And there's like, do you agree that women need to be like more groomed and well mannered for her opinions to be mattered like that?
What do you mean by groomed and well mannered?
Like, because like when Isha says about lady boss and stuff, do we need to be fierce, or like do we need to like chill and just like voice out our opinion? Like,
I think really it's a matter of content, more content, right? It's not a matter of raising your voice or not raising your voice or being fierce. I think it's a matter of content, and so what you're trying to say, and also how you put it across, right? The kind of words you choose and things like that. So for example, let's say you're in a situation where you realize that your subordinates are being prejudiced or biased towards you, right? So you're trying to voice something out. So let's say I'm trying to voice something out and my subordinates are not listening to me. Maybe they're interrupting me, or they're talking over me, or my opinion is ignored. So really it's about how do I respond to that, right? I could either choose to be really negative about it, right? I could be like, oh my God, no one's listening to me. I think you guys should listen to me. I have a very good opinion. I could say something like that. 2, I could not say anything at all, right? I could be like, you know what? No, I'm not going to say anything at all. 3, I could be like, let's say it was a person named Bob who was interrupting me and not listening to me, right? Not hearing out what I had to say. So I was like, Bob, oh, that's a really good idea. I think that was a really good input from you. But in future, let's have a more inclusive discussion, right?
Yeah.
For us to be able to achieve our goals. So you always want to, I feel that, always point out to them what could be better. Like so this is what I like to call a positive focus approach. it's an approach there was a study on this, and it's effective for gender bias situations. It's called the positive future focus approach, right? The way you highlight a positive point to that person, like, oh, that's a really good idea. And then you want to highlight what could be better, right? What could be better was, it'd be better if we have a more inclusive discussion, and then point out the goal. The goal is that so we can reach the project's aim, right? Maybe the aim was to cut budget by 20%. So, we can better reach the project's aim to cut budget by 20%. So, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really about the content of how you say it. And if you feel that this person is open to constructive feedback, right? Maybe he's your friend, and it's like, pull him aside, and maybe want to talk to him. Be like, oh, hey Bob, what happened earlier in there? I want to say that that's where you can be a bit more personal.
A bit, yeah. It's not that we want to argue. It's about like, okay, we need to settle this. You need to understand.
Yeah, and most of the time you will probably realize that that person wasn't aware that of what they were doing, right? That they were being, they were interrupting, they were not listening to you. The minute you point it out, they're like, oh, okay, I thank you for telling me. I'm sorry about that. Obviously, if they react badly, then, so you want to assess the situation. So maybe you want to talk to the person directly. Maybe you want to go to HR, so really assess the situation, and then
people need to realize that leadership traits doesn't have any gender.
Sorry?
Leadership traits doesn't have gender.
No, leadership traits
yeah.
Gender.
Like because like PG said, like you don't want to see as bossy or something like that. Like PG said, Putri just said just now. But I think like leadership trait is just like that. If you are a good leader, then you have all these
the criteria.
The criteria. So is the difference that like Meera said, is just because people are not used to assertive women, but that is just how a leader will act like. Yeah. So I think people should really know that leadership traits doesn't have gender.
No, it definitely doesn't have gender at all.
Like how do we like encounter, like if we voice out of our opinion, like how do we react to the opinion being rejected? Like how do you handle that?
Okay, so rejected in a sense that if you voice it out in a group situation?
Both, like in a group or like personal.
Okay, I think first you want to observe the whole thing, right? And then ask basic questions. So ask questions like, oh, why do you feel this way, right? What can be better with the idea? So always ask questions to try and understand where they're coming from. All right, and then I think it's also to just be more aware of once you gather more information, you want to be able to gather information, construct it properly, and then adjust your perspective, right? As to why was my idea rejected? Was it because there was a
self-reflect?
Yeah, self-reflect, right? And this can happen while you're having a conversation with that person, but just sort of gather information and be like, okay, was it rejected based on valid points? Sometimes it's valid points, right? It's rejected because there was no basis to it. There was no data to support it. But if it's not based on valid points, then you want to be able to highlight to them that, right? Through good communication. So you can use the the positive future focus approach, like what I mentioned, or you can take it to someone else. You can speak to HR about it. If it's a recurring situation, you can speak to HR about it. But always observe and ask questions back if it's rejected. That's the number one thing I would say.
Oh, that's the way like we reach to like one solution if it's like in a discussion or something.
Yeah,
Right.
I think, yeah, to understand better why it was rejected, definitely always ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to understand why it was
Okay.
rejected first. Yeah.
And yeah, Isha.
Meera, do we have the video that you wanted to share with our audience today prepared?
Oh yeah, let's share
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Have
So,
you guys seen the video yet?
yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
I was shocked.
Unfortunately, everyone was
I guessed
having the
wrong.
same mindset. Yeah, having the same
oh,
mindset as the people in the
okay.
video.
Yeah, let's show it. That's actually a good video.
As part of an experiment to explore the human mind, we asked 22 people to solve the same riddle and recorded their responses. Feel free to participate also. Are you ready?
The riddle. A father is about to bring his son to a job interview, applying for a position at a large stockbrokers company in the city. Just as they arrive at the company's parking lot, the son's phone rings. He looks at his father, who says, "Go ahead, answer it." The caller is the trading company CEO, who says, "Good luck, son, you've got this." The son ends the call and once again looks at his father, who is still next to him in their car. How is this possible?
He gets a call from the CEO, but it says,
"Good luck, son."
But he was next to him.
So it's not the father.
I think it was probably an audio recording of his father.
Maybe he made a demo tape.
Like he has two fathers?
This is a hard one.
Maybe it's a word joke, like it's the grandfather of the son.
No, I think his name is Son.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just like an old man, you know, calling a younger guy son.
I have no idea.
The answer. It's his mother.
Oh, that's so stupid. Yes, of course.
I should have thought of that, yes.
The CEO is a woman.
so I'm biased. In a sense. Is this about diversity and inclusion?
That's really mind-blowing, actually.
So I always thought that I'm not very sexist. But in spite of that, I think these subconscious biases are there in everyone's mind.
How much bias I still have in terms of thinking that the CEO needs to be a man.
Yeah, I definitely was picturing a man.
They identify with males more than females these days.
Why can't women also be CEOs or doctors or, right?
When I think about a CEO or someone that's high positioned within a company, I mostly think of men.
And it's a shame, I think.
And that's so weird, because I'm a CEO, and I'm a woman.
And I want to be a CEO. Why didn't I think about that? Crap.
I believe women can absolutely be CEOs.
And that's definitely something that we should work on, especially when you're saying that so many people have been told this riddle and most people haven't gotten it.
Women make great CEOs and great leaders as well. And yet only 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Let's change our mindset.
Wow.
Well, I got it wrong.
I don't know whether it's the background music or whether it's really the convention and the realization of
mind blown.
The people. Yeah, I get goosebumps and maybe a little tear.
Yeah. Yes, it's a very powerful video.
Yeah, like when the guys actually have to admit that, wow, they realize that they're a bit sexist unconsciously, and then how the females were like, I'm a CEO. Why did I think of that? Yeah, it's like,
yeah, just the men and the women, right? So it really sometimes it's a subconscious thing that we need to be aware of and learn how to change. Yeah.
So it's like we have come to the end of our session. Do you have anything you want to share with the audience, like a final advice to every man and woman, like how men should play their part, what kind of part they can play, and how women should be voice out more?
I think just, for women, it's really don't be afraid. Don't question yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Everything you need is already within you, right? Believe in yourself, trust yourself, always have a strong support system with you. And if you don't have one, reach out, right? Reach out to organizations, like NALS or Being In and things like that. And for men, I think just, advocate the cause together with us. If you see something that you feel could be better, voice it out. And I think together we can make a difference. And, I would really like to see that in 5 years. The question earlier about, how do you see it? Where do you see gender equality in 5 years? And I hope in 5 years' time, the needle really shifts, right? So when we're asked the question again in the video, it's an automatic thing. The CEO who called was his mother. Yeah, that's all, I guess.
So, Putri, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
So, if that's the case, then
Time, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I wish we had more time because
True. I have so much.
Because
time flew by. It's like
an
hour is gone.
True.
Because it's hard to have this conversation in our daily lives. So when we talk about it, there's actually so much things to say that we just didn't realize because we haven't talked about this in our daily lives. So before we end the session, I would like to say that I hope to everyone that's watching, to every female out there, to every ladies, to every girls, women, it's time for you to voice out and know that your voice matters. And please involve more in discussions. Your opinions can make a difference. And to men out there, please, like Meera said just now, together we can make a change. Let's pave the way for them to make the change that they want, and maybe help boost them, because some people doesn't have the confidence that they need. So maybe we can help to motivate them, or actually just giving a helping hand for them. And so that is all. And thank you for the audience that has stayed.
So I just remembered, I think a great thing that men could do is just to ask women, how can I help you? As simple as that, right?
Yeah.
How can I help you? That's it.
Noted. All right, so thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Meera, for your time.
Thank you, Meera.
Thank you, the audience, for staying from 8:30 until now, 9:30. Yeah, I hope you guys gain something from this session and can apply it to your daily lives and share it with your social circles as well. That is all. Okay, so thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.